just last night, somebody said, "You were the most famous judge in America for a while."
This is Arthur Engoron, the judge who presided over President Trump's civil fraud trial in 2023. Now, at age 77, he's in mandatory retirement, and in his first on-camera interview since the trial, he spoke with CBS News about his career and the highs and lows of his moment in the spotlight.
Being a judge is just the greatest job in the world. You get to help society, you get to set precedents, you get all this respect. When people used to say, "Your Honor," I would look around, who are they talking to? And then I realized it's me.
The quirky, wisecracking judge really seemed to get under President Trump's skin.
You take a look at it, Engoron is a whack job.
He's a Trump hater at the highest level.
Public officials have recently called judges who rule against them lunatic, deranged, corrupt, radical, and those are words that in the past have also been lobbed at you. Do you have advice for judges facing this kind of attention?
Well, judges would know the primary rule. We cannot fight back. That goes with the territory, no matter what we're called, when those things are lobbed at us. And I've had them all lobbed at me, the homophobic ones, the anti-Semitic ones, the violent ones. No, I just took it, and that's what we have to do.
Do people ever recognize you? You're walking down the street, and all of a sudden someone says, "Hey."
They used to. Total strangers would walk up to me, look at me very sincerely and very seriously and say, "Thank you." That's all they would say. Justice Sotomayor of the United States Supreme Court, I met her at an event, and I went up to her and I said, and she cut me off and said, "I know who you are."
There's a flip side to this, though, which is that you also experienced a deluge of threats, some that were anti-Semitic, like you mentioned. There was a bomb threat at your home. Can you talk about coming into work each day amid all that?
The time that this was driven home the most was I was going to walk my dog. I did walk my dog. It's about 6:30 in the morning. Walk out the door of my suburban house, and a police officer comes up, says, "There's been a credible bomb threat against your house. Is there anybody else in the house?" And I said, "Well, yes, my wife and 3 kids." And he said, "Oh, well, I'll go in and get them." And I said, "No, it's my house. I'll go in and get them."
Engoron's staff also faced a torrent of hate. He senses a thread from his Trump trial to the wider, harsh public discourse around judges today. During the trial, President Trump posted about your family and a member of your staff. How did you handle that, and did it affect you personally?
I sometimes say that law clerks are the greatest invention in the history of the world. They're just there to help. And I'm very careful about hiring my staff, and I had a great staff at that time and pretty much every time. And we want to protect them because they can't protect themselves as much as we can protect them. But, of course, it didn't affect my rulings, my thoughts about the case. I cared for their safety, and my court officer would often drive one of my law clerks to her abode, which I was glad to do because threats can come from either side.
He had to take an unprecedented step, barring the defendant, President Trump, from talking about his clerk, a gag order that was replicated by judges in other cases against Mr. Trump. Looking back on it, do you think you did set the precedent?
Yes, I think it might have been referred to even.
The U.S. Marshals Service recently asked Congress for increased funds for judicial security, citing increased threats.
I think that there will be some people that will be less inclined to become judges because the threat level has apparently increased. Those are probably not the people that should be judges, though. So I don't worry about that. I don't think the world is going to hell in a handbasket.
3 years later, Engoron is still targeted from time to time.
I go to a gym regularly. Guy walks up to me, and I'm wondering, do I know him? He says, "You're a piece of You're a piece of I said, "Well, thank you."
To his critics, Engoron enjoyed the attention too much. There were some people who accused you of posing for cameras and addressing the media directly. At one point, you noted to reporters in the courtroom how to pronounce your name. Another, you said that we should note that you bounded up the steps on the way to the bench. Did you think those criticisms were fair?
No, I think they were silly. Had nothing to do with the trial. I bounded up the stairs to the bench because there's all these people waiting. I guess I was showing a little bit of enthusiasm. What do they call it? Hot dogging.
There was plenty of that to go around. President Trump and his team were prone to long speeches and diatribes, and the judge rarely interrupted.
I'm certainly known as someone that lets people talk. That gives me more information, makes it less likely that I can be reversed, because the judge can be reversed for excluding evidence. And also, they'll leave knowing that I considered everything. They had their day in court. My staff would sometimes say, come on, Judge, we got to move on. Nope. They can talk as long as they want.
Your written opinions were absolutely no nonsense. And I was wondering if you could explain your mindset in that dichotomy, allowing really anything goes in the courtroom, but really focused written opinions.
I wanted them to be no nonsense. I didn't want to be criticized for not taking the case seriously. And I just wanted the facts and the law.
He found Mr. Trump and his company liable for fraud before the trial even started, and then hit them with a penalty that grew to $500 million. An appeals court threw out the penalty while preserving the fraud finding. Engoron is following closely, but not concerned about how the appeal will affect his legacy.
I had my moments of glory. I tried to do the right thing. I tried to be very even-handed. At the end of the day, I think I ruled for each side somewhat similarly, if it was quantified at all. So it was a net positive. I was glad I got to do it.